Hello, this is Michael Ford, and welcome to another Ask Michel. Today I want to talk about something that I've seen on Twitter this week, and it ruffled a few feathers. A SaaS founder, marketing type person, posted about that he's skeptical. He's becoming more and more skeptical about benefits and copy over features. And he talked about, and I mean, a lot of his reasons were pretty sound. It adds fluff to copy. It makes the information harder to parse. Um, and a lot of people these days know a lot of these benefits are already understood, and it's just boring people to tears and pushing them away. And I think I agree on the vast majority of those for the reasons that he's expressed. But there's a couple of things that I want to talk about to back up a little bit. First off is personality types. I venture a guess that most people who are in the SaaS business, and I would probably also say people who are buying this particular gentleman's SaaS software, are people who are more business, sales, and marketing types. If you know the four personality types, they're expressive, amiable, driver, and analytical. So a driver wants the bottom line. An analytical wants data. An amiable is all about relationships. And the expressive is all about how it makes me look, right? It's all about being expressive. And I have a feeling that this gentleman is a driver type, and he could make the mistake that he thinks his audience are like him. Now, it could be true, and I would then agree. But he made he made a couple of statements that were kind of a little bit more blanket statements that I don't think applies to every industry. He mentions a couple of car examples. He says, for example, here in his tweet, car dealership, you're going to love this car. It's electric, which means you'll never need an oil change, unquote. And then he says, if I've made it this far, I've already convinced myself of the benefits. Thank you. So I think the point that I want to get to is that's kind of a different issue. Having long-winded copy just for the sake of adding all the benefits to cover all your bases. I mean, it used to be true in direct mail. It used to be true in the early days of the internet. But now that we have the ability to be more dynamic, to use targeting, to use pre-qualification processes, there's drip campaigns, there's funnel nurturing processes. You're going to educate the client over a period of time. So that's one thing. There's also the fact that people are very much aware of these things, and it's no longer necessary. So I'm going to a tangent, but I'll come back to that because it's important. So a driver wants the bottom line. A great example is if I'm going to sell a sports car to an expressive, I might talk about how you can flaunt it. It's an expression of your success and the prestige of ownership of a Lamborghini, for example. But try to sell that to a driver when the driver is really all he cares or she cares about is how much does it cost? Is it a worthwhile investment? And I like sports cars because the resale value is a lot better, a lot easier to sell than a used car, for example. Now, of course, there's probably a little bit of everything, but most markets in most categories, most verticals, fall predominantly in one particular type of personality. If you really do have very defined and large types in your market, I would venture to say that you might want to separate your market and segment your market that way and deliver two different types of sales messages to those markets. But I want to come back to the point that I was initially talking about, which was, oh yeah, it's my ADHD. Yeah. So the point that now, nowadays people are very much aware of what a product does or offers and some of the benefits, right? It is true that adding so much of that in copy and making it like a long sales copy, at least long piece of copy, is kind of nonsense, and it also will just get people to skim, scan, and scroll your copy or jump, or as this gentleman mentioned, people just look for the price. They're skipping everything to just go to the pricing page. And I think what's important to know is beyond the four personality types and knowing what personality type, and it's key to create a good buyer. Hello, Rudy. That's my dog. A good personality type profile, a buyer avatar, a buyer persona that we create when we do create our marketing, and we want to talk to that person when we do communicate so that it's specific to that person, and all our marketing is centered around that. But when we want to look at the level of awareness they at, if you recall in my earlier videos, I talked about my oath formula, which stands for oblivious, apathetic, thinking, and hurting. And to recap, oblivious means they're oblivious about the problem that they're suffering. So you kind of have to educate them about the problem. They're apathetic. So they know about the problem. They just don't care about it, or they don't care to solve it. It's not important to them. It's not urgent. Thinking is they're thinking about it. They're looking, they're shopping around, they're making comparisons, they're looking at reviews, they're looking at not just features and benefits, but probably case studies, use cases, whatever. And then fourth and final is they're hurting, so they're looking for the buy button, right? So, and that could be either a market that's already defined in one of those steps, or it could be a market that has been taken through those steps in your marketing funnel. And that's why it's important to know where your market is at. Now, okay, so here's another thing. If your market happens to be in multiple, again, I would say try to target or separate your copy, or make the copy or make your website dynamic, excuse me, so that you can serve up information that specifically answers questions that people have if they have those questions. But assume that the vast majority of your market falls into one particular stage of awareness, and cater to that market. This gentleman made a good point. He said, he hates, there's something in copywriting we teach called the "so that" technique. And that's a way to build benefits. So you say, for example, and he used this one, the oven preheats quickly so that it's quickly ready to start cooking your lasagna, so that your food is on the table sooner, so that, he calls it so what, so that life is less stressful. There's less hanging around the kitchen waiting for the oven to get ready, and you don't have to worry you might forget to preheat your oven. And he says, this is the kind of stuff that just adds fluff to copy, and it's useless and unnecessary. And I would agree. I would agree that you don't have to add all of that stuff. And to the point that you have to know what your market knows, what stage of awareness they're at, what type of personality they are. And that way you can deliver only the type of information they want. So market research is really the bottom line. It's the most important aspect of all marketing. And I think I've harp on this so many times in the past. 80% of my work is done doing research, and 20% is the actual work. And I would say that would be the same thing that you would need to do too. Because the more you know about your market, the more you know at what stage and what personality, and more all these other things that we've talked about, so that you'll be able to deliver the type of message that will be specifically and perfectly, it'll be perfect for them. It'll specifically cater to them and to their wants and needs and their ideals and their specific their information that they're seeking. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions like this, I would love to answer your questions. Just hashtag AskMichel on any of the socials, and if I see it, I will add it to the queue and answer it in a future episode. Subscribe to my channel, please, and if you want to be notified and probably get these tiny little tidbits like this, get on my email list. Go to michaelforn.com and go to the blog section called articles, and there's a email list form there. Thank you so much. See you next time.